welcome here. We have an amazing guest today, but first we have to introduce ourselves, Carmen.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Carmen Junquera, also known as Carmen. I'm a caster and esports interviewer, and here we've got the amazing Yasmina.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a great way to start on Mondays, really. If I can say with you, Carmen, it's amazing to start the week.
Oh,
But of course, you are here for our amazing guest. That it's going to be in backgrounds. But before I started, I have to introduce really quickly and myself. If I am Yasmina, I'm an intellectual property lawyer, and we are here for Sam. Thank you so much for being
Hi,
here, Sam.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm so happy that we finally bring you here to the program. And I think Cam and I, we are pretty excited. I think we have your first fans or something.
I'm very excited too. Thank you, honestly, for having me.
thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure for us to have someone with your career and your personality here. So it's once again amazing. And I didn't want to wait anymore. I want to jump straight into questions.
I
Shall
know we
we?
have to start. Of
Sounds good.
course, we have to start. So the first, of course, for those who doesn't know, Sant is an amazing professional in the sector. But we will love you if you can introduce yourself a little bit for the audience.
Yep, of course. So thank you, first of all, for the introduction. My name is Zanne, and I am a strategy consultant, and I specialize in marketing, brand, and content. I have a strong affiliation with the esports space, and I also operate in sports and entertainment. I have about 10 years of experience leading global campaigns, projects, and building internationally recognized brands. So some of you may know, for example, the LEC. 6 of those 10 years were most prominently in, well, working with Redbull and Riot games, and 6 of those 10 years were basically in esports. On a personal front, I moved around quite a bit. I was born in Malaysia, I grew up in Australia, and I spent my adult life here in Europe. I'm now settling down in Italy with my husband. And on a gaming front, because obviously everyone needs to know this, I am a gamer, don't worry. I currently am a very dedicated Valorant player and fan. And this may sound very cliche, but I've been a gamer my whole life. I've played everything from like Age of Empires to Red Alert, Diablo,
Oh my God.
CS 1.6. I know all of them. I was a huge CS 1.6 fan, and I probably spent too many hours playing The Sims. Right? Everybody has to, right? So the last decade, I would say I've been spending most of the time playing League of Legends until Valorant came out, and then I made the switch. So here I am.
She's
Oh my God.
you betrayed League of Legends for Valorant?
I did.
Is that it?
A little bit. I still play ARAM, so I feel like that counts a little bit.
I think it does. I think many of us who play RMs is for the fun and wouldn't want to get drunk. It's just in case, so stressful. But you've been talking like all these games that got you into like gaming, but which one was the gateway into esports? And well, how did you end up here? Because I mean, you've worked for quite a long time in this industry. How was it?
So to answer the first question, I don't think there was really any like one single game that made me decide that this was like my path in the industry. Like I would say collectively, playing games my whole life, being an esports fan for like most of my life, I kind of just knew and I enjoyed it and I understood it. So when the opportunity presented itself, it wasn't really a hard choice to make. It just felt right. So for context, like I said, I was an esports fan for a long time. I was following the LCS scene, both EU and NA. I was following the Dota scene for a long time. And my younger brother actually used to play CSGO on a semi-pro level. So always been a part of like this industry somehow. And in terms of like me entering the space, the honest truth is that it was kind of just the perfect moment of like everything coming together. So I was the right person at the right time with the right experience at the right place. So Redbull was venturing at the time into esports and expanding their esports team. And, I used to work at Redbull before. So my time before, I was also very open about my passion for esports and gaming. So all my colleagues back then knew. And then later on, a few years later, when they decided to expand into the space, everything kind of just came together. They knew who I was, they knew my skill sets, they knew what I was interested in. So when they made me the offer, it just felt right. It just felt like the right decision. So that's how I went in.
Oh gosh. It sounds like a dream come true, honestly, to be an esports fan and then like for them to acknowledge that you are an esports like a knowledgeable person. Just amazing. Really.
It is, and actually, but you have been working in so many different fields. I mean, if you, I don't know if the audience have seen your curriculum, but it's amazing because you have been working in Redbull Media House. You have been the publisher of Riot as a head manager and a strategy content, and I wanted to just because I know at I think we will go more into detail about it, but if you can just summary in a nutshell, how was your experience in this of these fields? That will be amazing.
Yeah, of course. Each experience was very unique in itself. And, it was really, rewarding for me to be able to learn how to interact with the industry from different perspectives. So like, from the perspective of a brand like Red Bull, from the perspective of a publisher like Riot Games. And now, as a consultant working with a lot of different kinds of different parties, let's say organizations, brands and teams, and seeing how all of that works together, how different parts of the industry works together, how they interact with one another. Like something for Red Bull, which was important, is not the same like something that is important for a consultant, a team, or even like Riot as a publisher. But ultimately, what I can say is that in that experience, what is important for the fans is really important. Like I keep saying important because it is, and what to look out for and what to care for in terms of their experiences. And all of these different individual moments in my life has really opened up my eyes, especially to the amount of effort that goes into actually, running an event, pushing out like a content piece, making a music videos for LEC, like how much effort everyone back in like behind the scenes puts into it, and how much care they do for the creativity and the dedication that goes behind it. So yeah, it really definitely opened my eyes. And I also want to make sure that, most importantly, I met some incredible people along the way whom I am very lucky to call my friends. People I look up to, people I admire, people that I just get along with extremely well. And even nowadays, people that I play, like they're my friends that I play games with. So if I may, I want to give a big shout out to all of them because they helped shape who I am. And yeah, at the end of the day, for myself, it was really about, after all these years of experiences, learning a lot about myself too, what I like, what I disliked, what I enjoyed, what I tolerated, and what I wouldn't. So yeah, I wouldn't have changed a thing. I'm very, very, very happy and grateful to be here.
And I have to say, the audience love you because I see
Oh.
over there, Ghost sign, hello family, and so on. So you have a huge audience that love you because how you are. And just for a few minutes, I think you're amazing. But we
Thank
have
you.
to continue with the questions because you have an amazing career. I have to bring you for another program. Come on.
So it's the end. After building this expertise in these different companies, you've decided to become a freelancer. So congratulations on that one. And I wanted to know, what is the experience like? Because clearly it's a bigger step to take away from these places where you've been working. So why did you decide to make this decision? How is it going?
So, first of all, I am very excited about this. So, as you probably know, I have only just started out on my journey, so very early days. But in terms of how I made that decision, it was really a journey in itself. So, I think I kind of have to give you the beginning of the story to give you like the full context as to how I got here. But several factors came into play. So, as you now know, I used to work for Riot, and I truly did love my job. So when I left, I actually left with a very heavy heart. I wanted very much to continue my career there, but for personal reasons, I had to relocate. And at the time, Riot wasn't open to remote opportunities. So I decided to make the decision to quit and relocate to be with my family. And after Riot, I decided to take a bit of a break, really trying to give myself an opportunity to discover, learn, grow. I know, very cliche and very cheesy, but I did. And during that time off, I had a couple of discussions and conversations with potential employers, but nothing quite felt right. So at the same time, I'd been thinking of venturing out on my own for a while. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. So finally, when Design Studio, a brand and creative agency whom I absolutely respect and have a great relationship with, reached out for a strategist role for one of the esports projects. Like, again, the same thing that happened with Redbull, it just felt right. So I took the dive, I stepped in, I took the job. And after that, it just became like a snowball effect. Everything just happened on its own, which is perfect. And then I started talking to G2 and Excel Esports and started working with them. And right now I have a couple of conversations that are going on with different orgs and brands that I will hopefully collaborate with in the future. So that's how everything came into play today.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually see a common face who's like, maybe you can gossip something or tell something. Before I go into all the questions, I see the audience being so really nice, and I'm going to put them the link to your page because maybe they know already, but that just in case, so you can check it over there.
That it is. And also, just a reminder for our audience, remember you can ask whatever questions you want to, and we'll bring them up in the last 10 minutes of the show so that you can get an answer from Sia and from our very special guest today. So just leaving that out there. And now, Yasmina, you wanted to ask something. So
Oh
you
my God,
there?
I don't know where to start. Now we should focus about your professional career. So you started in the Redbull Media, if I'm correct. Well, I think you started at Redbull first, and then you coming back. But oh my God, there are so many things that I lost track. So sorry about it. But we just focus about it in the first. How was it for working in the Redbull Media House?
So working at Media House, I was there 2 separate times doing 2 separate jobs. But the first one was as a content manager for still images, so photography. And in other words, what I did was I helped manage the portfolio for photography for Red Bull. And my area of responsibility was everything from, I would say, like the eastern side of the world, so Asia, Middle East, Africa, Oceania, and motorsports international. So I was working on like Formula One, WRC, MotoGP as well. And what I did was basically take care of the delivery and the development of photography in those areas. So whether it's photographer relations, event coverage, or just general education, that was my area. That was not esports specific at the time. And then the second time I came back was when Red Bull was expanding in the esports space. So that was when my first step, let's say, into the professional space of esports. So when I returned, I was hired as their global channel manager for esports. And then it progressed into the global commissioning editor for esports. It was basically a title change. And in this role, I was pretty much responsible for anything media related for esports on a global scale. So all the international projects, for example, I was managing the social accounts for the global channels, the producing like global original content series, highlighting like the biggest esports events that Red Bull was hosting, and basically also just like elevating the company in terms of like the external exposure they had in the space, and ultimately internally to educate and help internally my colleagues understand exactly what esports was, what it is, where it's going, and how we should, as Red Bull Media House at the time, position ourselves in the space.
Oh my God.
And okay, so you were there when Red Bull Esports was born. They just took you again for the role, and I mean Red Bull, as we know it, is like an energetic brand, drinks brand, right? They do plenty of other things, but that was what they started. And I want to ask you, as a company which is not non-endemic, so outside that sector, what do you think were the keys to your approach to esports? How did you try to make a bridge between these two different industries?
So I would say that Red Bull feels like it's a bit of a gray area, whether it's endemic or non-endemic, because Red Bull as a brand has been involved in esports for a long, long time. Even when esports was, let's say, in its infancy, they were already sponsoring teams, they were already sponsoring players, events back in the day, and they still do that obviously today. And how they supported and helped the scene grow, in other words, in the brand words of Red Bull, give you wings, basically, is what they did for the scene. And they truly did do that. But to go back to the original question, what do you think are the key approaches, let's say, for non-endemic brands in the sector? I would say the first step is really to learn and build a strong understanding of the space, get a very good knowledge and understanding of the audience, the fans, the needs, the types of games that live within this ecosystem, and also stop making assumptions about what you know, because and really take the time to understand the space and, like I said, all the different aspects of it. And then the second thing to that is also finding your specialty, in a sense. So what makes you unique, what allows you to elevate the space, what value can you bring to the ecosystem, and not just like copy paste the situation. Don't assume that what you know can work here as well, because the reality is that when you're faking it, we as an industry know, and the community, I can assure you, will call you out on that. And then finally, make sure that it doesn't just become a one-off as well. Don't let it become a one-off. Like, invest and dedicate the time and effort to building your rapport in the scene, because the community will see that. They will see your effort. They will acknowledge the growth that you have given in the space to help them, make it what it is today. And, obviously, as a bonus, if you don't know how to get there, you can get some help. And this is not to push my own services, but
No, but here
genuinely,
you have to sell your book. Come on.
exactly. But genuinely, there are so many agencies and individuals out there that can actually help you shape that path. So don't be afraid to actually seek for help. Just, again, don't make assumptions and really invest the time that it takes to get to where you need to be.
And I think it's quite important that our audience take notes of this and contact you if they have any issues regarding this, because we know when a brand is not doing speaking the proper language that we understand, because we know when something is fake and it's like, that's not exactly. I think, I don't know if you watch it, because I think it was only maybe in Spain, but it was a publisher. No, sorry, it was not a publisher. It was Coca-Cola who make advertisement, I think, for gaming, and there
Yeah.
was a lot of discussion regarding, because
The
it
one
was like,
where the
yes,
guy
we are
like
not
kind of
going to fight. Yes, we are going to
I
be
don't think I know. I
together.
think I need to see it now.
so
I will put it
this
later so the audience also really saw it, because it was like a lot of discussion regarding this, like, Coca-Cola, what you did.
I think they did have in other countries, but I know like where exactly they decide to use this advertisement. But yeah, it was. If we kind of watch it later, perhaps it was perhaps not the best approach to the public. It was kind of silly, to be honest. But it's sad
Yeah,
there.
it was
So
like really idyllical, but at the same time, it's like, no, when you are in inside a game, you're not going to stop for that. But it's okay, of course. And later we will show you for the audience as well and for you. But I think a lot of people are here, and as well myself, to know a little bit about your experience in Riot. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. So how was it? If you can tell us in a nutshell.
Yeah, of course. I mean, being a gamer and esports fan all this while, Riot has always been a company that I admired and wanted to work for. I'm not gonna lie, like when I got the chance, it was really like one of my dreams come true. And when I was there, like, I learned a lot. I grew professionally, I grew personally. Like I said before, I met some incredible people, and I just saw a few names that I've met in the chat. So shout out to you guys there. But I've met some incredible people along the way, and I would even call them like my lifelong friends now. And at its best, when you're given the space, the freedom, and the trust from your manager, and my manager back then with Monica especially, my colleagues, my team, to really thrive and build what you believe is right for the brands that you're working for. In this case, obviously for me, most particularly for me, was LEC and the latest version, the latest VCT for Valorant. these two things will always have a soft spot in my heart, like always. And again, when you're given such an amazing space and opportunity to build something that you truly care about to become what it is today, it's amazing. But I'm also not gonna sugarcoat this, right? It didn't come without challenge. Of course, like any company out there, it's had its ups and downs. And I joined at a time of uncertainty. We were transitioning between EU LCS and LEC. But looking back, challenges in all, I'm incredibly grateful for the experience.
I mean, I think like being able to navigate through those things also must be really challenging, as you said, but like it also gives you a different perspective of the matter.
Exactly.
And well, I want to know like what was your career path within Riot Games? Because we've seen you go from Redbull now Riot Games. What was the path like, and how did you get to your final role there?
So I was initially hired as the editor-in-chief for EU LCS at the time. And
Wow.
at the time, that's like 3 years ago. One of my main responsibilities was to shape kind of the direction, especially editorially, like of where we were going from a publishing side. And in addition to that, one of my first projects was to help build the LEC. So I cannot say how lucky I am to have been part of that experience, because to build a brand from scratch like that, then to see it grow to, we recently just celebrated the 3-year anniversary of LEC. Like, to see how far it's come is honestly one of the biggest highlights of my career. But with that, obviously transitioning from EU LCS to LEC, that was a big part of my role. It was incredibly challenging, I'm not going to lie, but it was also so rewarding. As you say, it gives you a different perspective of things. The company then did some work internally to kind of reshape like job architecture as a whole at Riot Games. And then my role turned into the marketing and brand manager for esports. And then eventually I became the head of esports marketing for the EMEA region. And that was about the same time that Riot was releasing the new game. So, everything from like Valorant, Wild Rift, TFT. And one of my final projects that I was helping at the beginning of this year was really to shape the foundation of like VCT, especially in the EMEA region. And that's why it held such a a soft spot in my heart. But all that basically concludes my time at Riot, like in a nutshell.
My God, it's amazing. I think you have to write a book, and I was amazed with the Carmen faces around him. She was like, "Oh my God, oh my God."
It was like, oh yeah, I was at the internship during the transition between this important thing and this really important thing as well. And then I just like you put it like so simply, but like to outsiders like us, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, for
Like,
us right now, we have to do like, hey,
oh.
and I hope our audience do it as well, I guess.
I mean, we've
It's so
learned that you
great.
play some ARAMs. You learned to play some ARAMs out there,
Oh
so
my God, it's true. I didn't see it. I'm going to put it there. Come on. I'm so sorry, Jeronsky. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing wrong, but thank you for your comment. It's nice.
nice to know what's going on behind the scenes.
And of course, I wanted to just because, of course, I'm not a marketing expert, but I would love to know how is because here in Esports Business Life, we have brought, I think, more brands and actually some teams, and we saw more or less their strategy. But it's the first time, unless I'm incorrect, to Carmen, that we bring
Um,
someone who has been working in a publisher.
I
I think
think
so.
no, I think it's the first time. And if it's not the first time, sorry to the guest who came to talk about the publisher.
We're
I've got
sorry
a
about
terrible
that. At least
memory.
in international, it's the first time, and we wanted to know the needs and how is to actually make a strategy for them because of course they are actually the ones who create a game that everyone's play around and the ecosystem creates or surround them, so it has to be really different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a very broad question that I may
Oh
not
my God, so
necessarily be
sorry.
able to. No, it's fine. But I'll do my best. So, like I mentioned earlier, I think the industry is currently growing into, in my opinion, its next growth phase. We're no longer just seen as a small niche industry. We are now in the spotlight. We are now seen as a formidable force in shaping entertainment and engagement and the way forward for the future. So with that being said, like for companies as big as Riot, as influential as Riot, the strategy is, with the same like esports brands, the same like publishers all around entering this next growth phase, is as what Riot is doing right now, releasing new games to grow into different avenues as well, not just like within games itself. Like Arcane is a perfect example of them going into the new space, right? To build something that we know beyond what we know as esports and games. This is the next step into our future and really shaping us for the future for our industry. That being said, also in terms of the needs, I've said this before and I still think it to be true. As companies grow, as we grow as well, it's important to stay authentic at the end of the day, to understand, like to remember our purpose and why we're here and what we're trying to do, and to also continue giving the fans like a reason to care. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, and this is something that Riot held very true to itself, is like to put players' experience first. And you can truly see that in the work that they do, in the the events that they put on, that they really do think about like their players' experience first. And that for me was like really how they were able to shape this future ahead. And as you mentioned, Yasmina, like publishers really have so much control in, so much influence in the space, that they really need to take this responsibility and shape what it is for us, for the rest of us, to actually thrive in.
I think you answered perfectly. For those who have watched Akan, I just have left 3 episodes. Please don't spoil me. I appreciate that. I really appreciate. But as you said, I think Riot has been really done a pretty good job. He always take care of our audience, and with Akan, they did it because we actually. I would love to tell to the audience that we were talking about Akan. Backgrounds, and we were talking about like how the new strategy could help them to actually catch people who are not playing the game, and maybe to get fascinated about this world that we are creating. So it's really nice that you have been working with this publisher, and thank you so much for answering me, because I was really curious about it.
And I'm also really curious, about
Oh.
everything essentially, but there is one thing about content management and the content that you've been producing at LSE that really caught my eye and my attention, which is the music part of it all. Because, when Reckless with My Heart was about to be released, I think many people were expecting like more of a parody, something like kind of, okay, not low quality, of course, but like something more like in a humoristic way. And suddenly, the song is released and everyone is like banger, and then more songs keep on being released, like Dance With Me, even like there are so many of them right now. I'm just addicted to songs. I need to say I listen to them quite a few times per week. So how did this content come to be? Like it doesn't seem like it is directly related to the LC, but you somehow made it. And also, did you expect such a warm welcome for these songs? Because I think nowadays many people are expecting newer songs to be released, and they're like, okay, now this is something that I really want to listen to during my normal, I know, Spotify session.
Yeah, totally fair. And I want to give obviously a huge shout out to Margot, the producer, to Dracos and Vetti, the casters that are also like behind the scenes, and everyone else behind the scenes that actually made all these music videos happen, because without them, it wouldn't have. But to give you some background story, the music strategy came out in a very organic way. It was very well thought through, but it also came about very organically. So I think the first music video, which was I Want the LEC Back, was 2020,
True.
I believe, for the spring season start. But internally before then, for the first year of LEC, we were doing a lot of due diligence in our content and our work, doing a lot of data analysis, cleaning up a lot of processes in the background to make sure that we make the best use of our content, the best use of our platforms, timelines, resources, and also just to get a much better understanding of our audiences, and doing a lot of what I call the homework to make sure that we can make good decisions, that we use our resources effectively, and to also create like a safe space for the teams internally to be creative and to be innovative. And then all that coupled with, honestly, one day, I can't remember who it was anymore. I'm so sorry for that. But it was either Vedi, Dracos, or Margot that came up to me and was like, let's make a music video. And I was like, okay. But, like, I obviously checked the data. I did my homework and I was like, you know what? With everything that we've learned, with every resource that we can put in place, and the understanding that we had by then by doing all this, background work, it made sense. So we kind of just decided to take the leap of faith. And once the first song was released, which is what I Want the LEC Back, and I remember I heard this tune so many times before we released it that it became like an earworm. I still love the song, but like, oh my god, like I can't get it out of my head, and that's sometimes a little bit annoying, but that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted, most importantly, that this wasn't just any music video, that this was our music video, that it was managed in a way that was authentic to the LEC, that it was in staying true to the very LEC like meme way of how we approach things. And that was honestly the beginning of LEC in the music world. And I can safely say that it's been pretty successful so far. And I truly hope that even now that I'm not around, that they continue down that path, because honestly, one of the best decisions we've made as a team.
Oh gosh.
I think I have to put this comment because it's amazing. Come on,
I don't have it in my mind like the we saw it across the sky, like I love, and the part like this is I thought this is goodbye to read the walls I'm writing. This is so addictive. Like I'm going to my mind.
Yeah, it is extremely addictive.
And also watching the behind the scenes, it was like showing such commitment to it, because they showed how you were filming in this house, in this building, under like minus 0 temperatures, and everyone so was into it that I feel like, okay, they might have been cold and all this stuff, but at the same time, the commitment to releasing such an amazing project even under those circumstances is truly to be admired.
Yeah,
really.
I completely agree. Like I said, huge, massive shout out to Margot, Vedi, Dracos, and everyone behind the scenes, because they put so much love and effort and time, and froze almost to death at that point, like being so cold in that like house and everything that they were filming in. Like seriously, massive shout out to them.
And to you too, because I mean, you were
you.
also part of that.
Thank you for Rave. Anyway, I would like to answer this question then, because Anorth, I'm sorry if I say wrong your nickname, but it's because I love Arcane, and when I love something, I don't want it to be end. That's why I'm holding until the end. But I think probably today I'm going to finish the last.
There are no excuses, Yasmina. You didn't watch them, and you didn't watch them. That is it.
I say because I'm going to be so sad. I'm going to be depressed when I finish it.
You will surely be, but I don't want to spoil anything for you.
No, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
We'll be kind. We'll be nice. We won't say anything.
Thank you. But I will be nice with my questions then. Well, the next question that I would like to ask you is because I know that when you work as a head of marketing, you work with different agents, you work with casters, you work with all the publishers, and also you related with teams. And I wanted to know how was, as the head marketing, your approach with each of them. Because I imagine it has to be really different. Oh my God, what? PS, we all know it. Please don't tell me more.
Sorry, could you repeat?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was also like a little bit like.
Arcane is taking the conversation. That's not possible. I'm sorry. It's because I wanted to know how's ad marketing. How was your approach? Oh well. If you notice, how was the approach of Riot with the different agents of the sector, like with the teams, with the casters, with the organizers of the competitions, the tournaments, and so on. If you can tell us a little bit, how was the approach with them?
Yeah. So I mean, it's also very hard to like pinpoint, because
I'm so sorry. I promise you, I will
fine.
do nice questions.
I mean, ultimately, it's very hard to pinpoint because every single relationship is different, right? So you should be treating every single relationship differently. But what I can assure you is that in terms of how Riot Riot's approach was, is that if we were trying to be as fair, as just, and as equal as possible. And in the sense that they were also, and this is something that I admire very truly about an organization, especially like Riot, is that they listen to what people have to say. They give them a platform to be able to say it as well, allowing teams to give feedback, allowing fans to give feedback. You don't see that very often. You don't see very often that, like
That's
when a
true.
fan complains about, or a player complains about something, that people will change their entire strategy to accommodate those needs. And it's incredibly impressive, I have to say. Like the most recent example that I can think of is, for example, with the Valorant champions that are coming up, they actually listened to the audience, especially in EU, where they were saying that two EU teams shouldn't face each other in the group stage. And Riot did something about it. They were like, you're right, like this doesn't make sense. So we will make sure that each region will not be playing in the same group, so that, everyone has a chance. And like I said, you don't see that very often in the wider world. You don't see many brands actually listening so intently and so, purposefully to their audiences, and then adjusting their entire strategy just to accommodate those needs. So yeah, that is honestly one of the most impressive approaches that I can say for Riot as a company.
I like it. You
And
answer me
also,
completely. Sorry.
besides these tournaments and these adjustments that we've seen also with players, with player contracts and this sort of thing that have been going around lately. I mean, it's the off season, so of course that's to be expected. We've been missing live events for quite a while because of the pandemic, and I want to know how that affected you as a team, and also, I mean, in your managerial role there, how that affected your usual activities and the way you had to reprogram and readjust what you had planned for the year 2020, when, I mean, everything was shut down.
Yeah. Actually, one of the team members that I spoke to about the whole thing with is actually maybe in the chat still. Her name is Audrey, and I
Oh,
remember that we actually spoke about, what do we do now that we've pivoted? And in all honesty, and this is maybe oversimplifying the method and the approach that we took, but as the LEC team, the overall marketing strategy stayed the same. We were staying true and authentic to the fans that we were trying to serve. And that is something that I will say over and over again, because I truly believe that that is the right way to approach these situations. What changed was the tactics. So, for example, if our strategy was to create value and stay authentic to our fans, we will stay authentic and create value for our fans. But how you do that can be done online or physically in an arena, but the strategy doesn't change. So when we actually had to pivot, we actually, did had to sacrifice a lot of the work that we've already put in during the time that, we made the decision. But the reality is that this was for the sake of everyone's safety. So it wasn't a question on whether or not we could do it. It was we had to do it. So when the tactics changed, we just had to go forward with it. So we came up with brainstorm meetings, crisis management meetings, made sure that we were thinking about all aspects to make sure that this still felt like an inclusive, community-driven event, even if it was online. And you can see over time how the LEC then approached it was that we started creating more and more exclusive and unique, engagement. We made mini games, which you don't ever see any esports league do, because what we realized was we need to give people an opportunity to connect online. We created Discord communities for I think, if I'm not mistaken, and please don't quote me, but I think we were the first official Riot Games Discord community. So LEC was actually the first one that was created by Riot, and that was driven by that exact same strategy, which is how do we create value, how do we stay authentic, and how do we make sure that this is an engaging experience for our fans. So again, strategy didn't change. It was the tactics that did, and the tactics will obviously depend on whatever situation we are given. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I remember for example, how fulfilling was seeing, instead of players, because obviously they couldn't go to the studio, seeing the little pros the plushies sitting in the chairs. It was a simple gesture, but that already brought so much instead of seeing like an empty space. That was very heartwarming, for example, and I think it really helped like change the situation, change the point of view a little bit. Like, okay, the guys at Riot Games, the people at Riot Games have really taken into account these things and trying to compensate somehow. So I mean,
Yeah,
I liked the
absolutely.
gesture.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. Like the team behind the scenes, like really took so much care into it, and that was all obviously also other parts of the LEC team, not just the publishing one. Just to be clear, so the
Yeah.
Poro ideas and the plushie ideas was, I think, from the production team, and I think it was Alayla that actually suggested it, if I'm not mistaken. So just want to make sure that it was clear that it wasn't just the LEC publishing
Yeah, of
team.
course, of course, of course. So, I mean, it works as
Yeah.
like it's a very big company. It's respected. So it's okay.
no, but it's amazing how they do all the little details and how passionate I heard when you talk about Riot. I see how passionate you feel about it and how well they done it. Really, I feel it. I feel it in my heart. But here we are not going to talk about more about Riot. We are going to focus on your book because, of course, it's gonna. No, sorry, guys, it's not a book, but actually,
It is a
here's.
meme from Spain. Like, well, someone said, "I've come here to talk about my book," and now it's like part of the culture.
Because of course, as you showed and during the entire program, you have shown how much experience you have in the sector, how you full understand the ecosystem, and you have embraced this opportunity to be a freelancer as a consultant strategy. And of course, you have to sell to you in front of everyone and say what makes you different, what make you the best of the best. Oh, welcome, Saint. I love it. I love the comment. Really, I need a track talk for you. Yes, yes, I agree with
True.
Antonio. I love your spirits. I don't know you, but I like you.
So, I mean, what makes me the best of the best is that you have to hire me to find out. I'm joking. So I'm
Hey!
joking. I'm joking.
Nice. Where is
I
the
will try
microphone
and
to
answer
drop
this
it?
question. I'll answer this question. So, in terms of what makes me like unique, in terms of what I offer, is that obviously my experience helps a lot. Like I said before, I have worked in so many different types of scenarios in the industry that it really has allowed me to have such a wide scope of perspectives in the industry to be able to help brands, esports orgs, no matter what, publishers, anything, to actually find their footing in the space. And even if they exist in the space, help them make sure that they are standing on their 2 feet, if I can say that. Secondly, like in addition to that, I think it's obvious that I have a passion in the industry and I have some level of integration in the space, which definitely helps my own rapport in the scene. But ultimately, like the most important thing in the USP for me is like my approach to how I work. Like what makes my services unique is that everything I do is unique for each client and brand that I'm working with. I don't believe in like a formula that will just make you successful overnight. I don't believe in like a copy pasta situation. Like I work together with you to create solutions together, because that will be the most authentic version of how you can actually help your company grow. And what I do is I help you think creatively, critically, curiously. I ask very difficult but important questions to make sure that your approach to work, your strategies, help you identify what really are the problems that you're trying to solve, and then help work together with you to help you solve them. And if I may, metaphorically speaking, and I'm going to use a game metaphor, and call me cheesy, but I don't really care.
No, I like
And I'm
it.
going to be, and I'm going to be super on brand with this. When you shoot in the dark, for example, you have no idea of the direction that you're shooting with. You're unlikely to hit your target. What I do is I give you the night vision and the scope to know where you are
Like it.
shooting and where you're hitting the target to make the biggest impact possible. And for the Valorant fans out there, when you shoot with an Odin, which is the machine gun in the game, the spray is insanely hard to control. But when you downscope, so when you use the scope, the spray becomes much more focused. And I am that downscope. and I will help you
Love
make sure you
it.
hit your target.
Oh
So
my god! Oh my
that's
god!
my elevator pitch. I'm
Later,
done.
I will try to put it in a Twitter. Please, 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 please. You have to be your friend. So, ladies and gentlemen, her book. Come on, you just have to buy
Actually,
it.
do try this trick because it does work, and I'm not just
It
talking
does
about Zia.
exactly.
It,
It
I
works
was
so
told that,
well.
and it was like, wait, it does work. Like crouching, and like, you know,
I don't. I
you
didn't
should
know
try,
that.
Jasmina. You
It's
should
because
try.
I'm so bad at shooting. Really, I'm horrible. I
But
tried
you just have to
Overwatch.
do what Zane is
Exactly.
doing. Zian. Just
Okay,
do
I will
it.
try. If I do, I will recall myself and say, "Thank you, sir. You were right."
Just don't become a camper. As long as you
Yeah,
just don't camp
exactly.
on people, yeah, you'll be okay. I think.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, surely. I mean, you can win games being a camper, but that's
Mhm.
no one likes someone who camps. But that's what we like. So, Zian, like also, I was wondering because when we think about freelancing and working from home, or working from an office, but like freelancing essentially, we think about like, oh, you don't have to deal with so many restrictions. Perhaps you've got more freedom to do what you want, and like timelines and who you choose to be your client, your customers, the way you work with them. But I mean, what other differences have you noticed besides this, when it comes to this approach that you've made to being, your own employer?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that there are pros and cons to both sides.
Mhm.
Working at a company, especially when it works well, like I said, when you are given the space, the trust, the support to actually do your best. For example, having an amazing team, which I was very lucky to have them and met them. To have colleagues that support you and to have an environment that empowers you, you can really be at your best. That is an incredible experience that, can only come with honestly the support that you're given. At the same time, working on my own, I am also able to stay authentic to myself. And as you know, now I preach authenticity, but staying authentic to myself, what I believe in, what I enjoy, and most importantly, like allowing myself to learn about myself, to grow on my own as well, is an incredibly eye-opening experience. And I wouldn't say I necessarily prefer one over the other. I think they both have, like I said, pros and cons, but I'm very happy with the direction that I'm taking at the moment. And in all honesty, I actually love working from home. I personally am very productive when I work from home. This is not to say that I wouldn't necessarily like to work with a team again.
Oh,
I really, truly do. Maybe someday, I don't know. But at the moment, looking back at all the work that I've done and all the experiences that I've had, I am honestly just grateful to have those experiences under my belt. And whether I go back to a company or not is still a question that I personally don't even know. But the honest truth is that, yeah, maybe one day.
I want to be you when I grow up. Like,
Hashtag be safe and in the future, please.
absolutely. Like, honestly, it's amazing how you make the best out of every decision you make and make the best out of these different situations you've been on. Like, I admire you a lot. I have to
Thank
say.
you. Really appreciate it.
It's
Oh my god, this is the sweetest moment I think I have in the program right now. And of course, Asan, I would like to ask you, like, of course, by the way, I would like to say to the audience, if they want to make any questions, we will put it at the end of the 5 or 10 minutes that we have left. Oh my god, the time goes quickly.
flew. Yeah, I know.
And Asan, can you tell us a little bit the service that you provide? Just sell you more, girl. You can do it.
I mean, like I said from before, like I'm a strategy consultant. I obviously specialize in marketing, brand, and content, but I also do like custom workshops. Like at the end of the day, like I am there to help you figure out how to solve your problems, or if not, actually help you to identify what the real problems are. I am there to also help you ask the difficult questions, but important questions that will actually allow you to answer them in the right way. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, I customize my services based on whatever the needs are for the client. So if they have a special need, if they just don't even know what to do, but they know that they need help, that's exactly why I'm there as well. I will help you figure that out. I will help you make sure that, whatever you plan in the future makes sense for you. And that's currently what I do right now.
That's amazing. And you did it like twice, and it's like, oh my god, chills, really chills. Here, come
The
on.
downstroke of the Odin. Yeah, exactly.
And well, I need to be a little bit noisy here, like because you
Oh.
said before that you had been in talks with you too,
Oh
Axel.
my god, you're going to
And
do the bad questions. Oh my
I
god.
need to be the bad cop here. You talk about
Okay, you
two
do it.
other
Go ahead.
teams. I need to know what teams these are. If you cannot say it, it's fine. But like, I just need to ask it because, I
You
mean,
mean what like the future work that I have?
yeah, and also focusing that one. Did you? I mean, in the beginning you said yeah, you two Excel, and you said two other teams. I'm in talks with them, and I just have to ask about
Say
it.
no to
I
that
cannot help
eyes.
it.
San, say no to that eyes. Here.
So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like I'm gonna say it, like it's really early days right now. I mean, the reality is
Okay.
that I've actually only been working like 2 months as a freelancer, and I've only officially actually shared this news like I don't know, like 10 days ago. I don't even know anymore. And I promise that I will share more along the way. But at the moment, like I shared earlier, I am very excited to reveal one of the projects that I was working on with Design Studio that ideally I think it should be online in January onwards. I will
Oh,
obviously be sharing that on my socials when it's live. And then on the other hand, the work that I've been doing with G2, like what I'm doing right now, they are incredibly ambitious and there are some very exciting projects that they're working on. So stay tuned on that as well. In
I
terms
will
of the
definitely do.
yeah. In terms of the conversations that I'm having, I do have some very exciting new clients. The conversations are happening as we speak, and I'm not yet ready to share them, but I promise that I will.
Thank
Sweet
you.
speak.
Everyone
So if
listen.
anyone was to share that in like the chat, I mean, if
Yeah,
anyone
yeah, yeah.
wants to
I
like
know. I
something,
was waiting. But Jeronsky asked you, graded after parties, Redbull or Riot?
woo, okay.
Please, I need
I think
to know the details.
I think it's honestly personal preference, but I would say in terms of the epicness of the party,
Uh-huh.
probably Red Bull.
No
But
Ooh.
in
way.
terms
Really?
of what I personally prefer, like having like these game nights and whatnot, I personally prefer like that as a personal preference. But they both have their own uniqueness about them. So I mean, I'm gonna be the good guy and say like I love them both, but very differently.
Is it because for in the at the Red Bull parties they can throw you from the stratosphere down to the earth kind of thing?
I
And
was
to the
thinking
other,
that.
that's so
One day, you never know. You never know.
okay.
It's Red Bull.
Ah, we have the next one questioned. Oh my god! But I have to make a joke about Red Bulls. Maybe you prefer because they bring you wheels.
Give you
Wings,
What
wings.
do you
sorry,
mean?
Yeah.
wings, sorry, wings. So sorry, please, and don't record. Oh my god, we are streaming. Sorry about that.
Wouldn't see anything. Okay, so do you want to read the question?
I wondered if you can read it,
Okay,
Carmen. I would love to.
there you go. Go ahead.
Okay. Given the big esport gaming landscape, how do you identify a niche that your brand wants to fill in order to not just copy paste existing strategies? Oh my god, that's a good question. Come here. I need you here in my team.
Hey, wait, are you
No,
trying
no,
to
with
say to me?
you, Carmen. We all
Are you
together. Come on. I'm
wait?
not
No,
going to replace you in my life,
are you
Carmen.
bringing a third person to this close worship with you and I have? Really?
Yes. No,
Okay, no,
sorry.
no, no.
Okay, don't
Okay, go
sorry.
ahead with the question. No, 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 no,
I will teach this to people.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sian.
um, so to answer the question, you have to hire me. Ha.
Good answer.
I
Good
mean,
answer.
honestly, like I said from before, right? If you're looking for your space in the esports industry and the gaming industry, is really just to understand fully what you're trying to get into. And then also being self-aware enough to know where your niche lies to be able to stay authentic in that space. Because like I said, if you just use whatever you know or whatever you've seen that has been done before and copy paste that existing strategy, people will call you out in the space. We as an industry will know when you are authentic or not. And that is honestly the reality. So I would strongly encourage, if you were to be new in the space, or if you do exist in the space, is to do your homework, to really understand truly what your purpose is, who you're talking to, why you're doing it, and to honestly stay in the authentic space that you can be in, and make sure that it's not just a one-off thing where, you know, you're just going to try it and then never look back again. And just to make sure that there is some level of rapport in the scene for you in the future as well, if you decide to come back or if you decide to grow in that space. But yes, in other words, you may also hire me.
And then you will have the full answer then, so you know.
I mean, it's very clear that you've been working in marketing for quite a while, and it's honestly like we need to start doing that too, Yasmina. Like,
We
if you
need to.
want to know the answer to these questions, you need to tune
Yeah,
in
I
into the
like
interview.
it. If you allow me, I will use a strategy like hire
No,
me.
that is something I didn't expect.
Yep. Personal marketing, you have to buy into it.
I was about to highlight the comment, but then again, I cannot.
I don't worry.
Uh,
You can read it, comment. I'm pretty happy.
okay, so Juronsky says, just want to say good luck to Zian. Hope to talk soon. And thanks, Ismin and Carmen. So
Oh,
thank you
thank
for
you so much.
watching.
Thank
Really,
you.
thank you so much. And sorry if we annoy you with our discussions coming. I'm so sorry, Carmen. I didn't want to annoy you. I love you. Please remember that. I
Didn't
always
know me.
remember.
I just know that we're filming divorce papers afterwards, okay?
No.
Okay, yes, yeah, like you wanted to find me for an amazing person. I'm sure this person who's commenting in chat is an amazing person. Like you wanted to leave him for them.
No,
What?
no, please.
Wait, we've got a question
I
for them
just
as well.
couldn't. What are the biggest struggles that overcoming your field of work?
Mm. So that's a tough one. Um, I think, you know, over time, obviously those struggles changed, but in the beginning, it was really trying to be able to establish ourselves as something that you can take seriously. You know, the reality is that, especially working in the wider sports space at the time, esports wasn't necessarily always seen as like the formidable force that it is today. And, you know, it took a lot of time and investment for us to actually, you know, educate our colleagues, educate the industry, educate beyond the industry as well as to like what, you know, esports could bring to the table. And then on a personal level, like, you know, this is not just necessarily exclusive to esports, but the reality is that sometimes, and this is a hard truth to say, but sometimes being a woman and a minority in the space adds to that as well. And I'm sure Yasmina and Carmen, both of you have experienced your own versions of what I'm saying. And, you know, what is important that we need to know as a group, and, you know, not just women, not just minorities, not just, you know, like the underrepresented groups, is that we all need to be allies to each other. And that is the most powerful thing that we can take away from this, like that everyone has their own struggles, everyone will experience something different, it will not be exactly the same like yours, but all you can do is be an ally and try and empathize and try and grow with them. So
It's
That's a
amazing how
beautiful
you say it.
message. Yeah.
Yes, and quite important one. It's true that we want you to bring you, especially because you have an amazing career, but also as a model. I think that women who will see you, I think they will be like, "Hey, as Carmen said before, I wanted to be like you when I grew up." But by the way, Carmen is amazing. Audience need to know she's
Wait,
amazing
wait.
caster.
Where does this come from?
I have to do marketing for my friends here.
Okay.
I may not done a strategy here as San, but I can sell San and I can sell Carmen. I can do that.
And I think because we'll run out of time, unfortunately,
Yeah,
and
it's
this is
true.
so short. But just to finish the interview, then I would like to ask you to give us the last statement for you. Like your message was amazing. If you want to keep that, it's fine. But if you want to, oh, we've got a comment here from,
Oh,
oh my God, this you're not Casey. I want to add that, especially because you mentioned women, you, my boss, Karina, Audrey, and many more. I've got to talk over time. A role model. Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree on that. And as Ismina said, it's just so important to have people to look up to. But again, if you want to say something about it, Zian, it's your time to. It's your spotlight. The microphone is yours. You say what you want to.
So, I mean, I just want to take the opportunity to thank obviously the both of you for inviting me here first and foremost. I really appreciate it, you know, being able to share like my journey and my achievements and stuff. Thank you so much. And obviously, like, you know, I don't want to make this like a sob story, but thank you to everyone out there that have obviously like believed in me and helped me to get to where I am, because honestly, without you, I wouldn't be here either. And finally, like, you know, I also wanted to give a shout out to my husband because he has been my number one supporter this whole time. So Matteo, thank you for being there and thank you for continuing to be there. I really appreciate you. So yeah.
If you hear me, you have an amazing wife. She's amazing. Keep
I'll
it.
make sure he watches this later.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you so much. Husband,
You've got an amazing husband, an amazing job, an amazing career. Like
I am very lucky. I can't deny it. I am very lucky.
yeah, like I really do want to be like you, and I think
we will see each other next year and we will see how a lot of things Carmen has been fulfilled for sure. And you too, San, for sure.
Yep. I will continue to follow you both as well. And obviously, as I said earlier, like let's all be allies and I will definitely be supporting you both.
Thank
we'll
you so much.
supporting you.
We will support you a lot. Thank you so much, San, for being here. And for the viewers, we have to close and we have to say goodbye. But thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh wait, I need to say this.
Oh
Goodbye,
my God.
goodbye. Just like, you know, if it's time to say goodbye, goodbye. I'm referencing a song from Arcane. Just
I'm so sorry.
goodbye.
I'm so sorry.
I've got the song in my brain in my head. So yeah, I just left the reference there. Just like that.
It was amazing, Carmen. Don't worry.
Okay, if you say so.
Look, they're saying that thank you and fun chat. Look, it's nice. Don't worry.
So we need to leave Zian go because we're like retaining her here.
Sorry, San. Thank you so
All
much.
good, no worries.
Okay, so we're gonna say goodbye to you. For a second, please do not go. We're gonna say goodbye to our audience. So for now, goodbye, Zian. See you soon, and we'll follow you closely.
So it has been amazing, Carmen, to the audience. Thank you so much for watching us, for being staying here, and for support San, because she's, as you see, she's amazing. I can say I fall in love completely with her because she has an amazing career, and I think she's, as a woman, she's wonderful, and I hope to meet more people like her. It has been really amazing to have you here, Carmen. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you. And please, for those who have loved this program, please don't forget that we have more esports business live for the entire week. We have our colleagues for workers. On Wednesday, we have marketing, and we have also corporate and news on Fridays. So if you like it, please at least say like it. And we will see each other for the next week. I hope so. And I will miss you, Carmen, for sure.
Oh, I will miss you too. But watch the 3 last episodes of Arcane. Would you
I
do
will
that
do
for
it.
me?
I will do it. I don't know how I bought his spoiler alerts here.
Now it's time to say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.